Hi, and welcome to the Wealth Channel. I'm here with Shelley Giordano and Don Graves, and we're talking about reverse mortgages. Shelley, let me start with you. Suddenly I see a lot of discussion about using reverse mortgages strategically in a retirement income plan. Why the shift?
Well, I think fundamentally, Dave, the shift is as a result of boomers now moving into retirement with a defined contribution plan and trying to make that last. Before, it was the pension funds that were trying to figure out how to deal with sequence of returns risk and reverse dollar cost averaging, and now it's the individual with the help of his planner. So taking a look at another asset that can buffer the volatility troughs over the course of a retirement with housing wealth is becoming quite the topic.
Okay, so right now, today, people have to make more decisions. They're taking systematic withdrawals from their portfolio. If we all know that if we have bad returns in the first few years, that can make your money run out more quickly. Mm-hmm. So a reverse mortgage is one of the ways to mitigate that risk.
Right, and what the research is demonstrating is in years where the returns are flat or negative, don't sell out of a losing portfolio. Turn to your housing wealth instead temporarily. Have it set up as a revolving line of credit. Use your housing wealth, wait for your portfolio to recover, and then you have the option of either paying down as a revolving line of credit or just letting it ride. No payments are ever required.
Okay, so that's sort of generally how it works. Don, give us some more specifics about specific things you can do.
Sure. The typical retiree, from our understanding, is looking at 4 L's. Longevity, lifestyle, liquidity, and legacy. Longevity are the commercials we see every day. How long will your money last? Will you run out of money? It causes the clients to call in bug-eyed and scared and say, oh my goodness, am I going to make it? Lifestyle is, will I be able to maintain this lifestyle? Liquidity, will I have money when I need it? And legacy, what will I be able to pass on? Some of the reverse mortgage strategies that are now coming to the forefront because of the financial planning industry is saying, how do we address those 4 L's? You just said one, mitigating sequence of returns risk in a portfolio simply involves setting up the reverse mortgage line of credit, drawing from that in the preceding year after the portfolio, if the plan was flat or negative. Another one is cash flow management. We used to hear for a long time, cash flow is king. 68% of boomers will go into retirement with an existing mortgage. They haven't saved enough, they're going to live longer. What if you were able to eliminate their need to make monthly mortgage payments? That reduces the draw on their plan by $500, $800, $1,500 a month. You can do that by swapping that out with the reverse mortgage. If they wanted to still swap out with the reverse mortgage and make payments, that's another strategy. There was a software developer that many financial advisors use that asked the question, a client with $1 million portfolio, what was their chances of plan survivability if they took a reverse mortgage and just added $1,200 per month? It increased it from 58% chance of success to 96%. So cash flow management, managing sequence of returns.
So let's go into that one a little bit more, the $1,200 a month. So we're talking now about taking like a 10-year option where you're going to get a monthly payment for as long as you're in the home.
Sure.
And if we take out $1,200 a month, instead of just using our financial assets and hanging on to that home equity, we improve our situation, we improve sustainability, right?
Sure. And for your advisors that are listening, there are 23 choices of reverse mortgages that you can choose from depending on what you want to accomplish. And there are 5 different ways to take it, as a lump sum, line of credit, 10-year payment, term payment, or a combination. Mm-hmm. And so it's important for them to make sure that they understand that as they work with their clients, that whatever strategy the reverse mortgage uses fits that goal. Mm-hmm. And so setting up a line of credit or setting up a 10-year payment, which is, Don, I'm going to get a reverse mortgage from my home, and it's going to guarantee me payment of X dollars. Let's say it's $1,500 a month, guaranteed to come to them for as long as they live in the property. That simple adjustment right there gave the portfolio longevity and gave the client tremendous satisfaction. And as we stated earlier, the cost of obtaining a reverse mortgage have dropped substantially. Even now, the newest program is 0 acquisition costs for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might just add that, if you're taking the effect of taking a tenure, annuitizing your housing wealth and taking a payment every month, sometimes can be a way to reduce the spending goals or spending needs below the sustainable withdrawal rate or near the sustainable withdrawal. So if your clients are unable or unwilling to live within the budget of the sustainable withdrawal rate, the housing wealth component can bring their portfolio in line with that
So
concept.
to take a smaller amount out of your portfolio, and
Exactly.
you feel more
It's-
comfortable.
Yeah, money's fungible. So
Yeah.
this is, it's.
Okay. How about, we're all talking about the benefits of deferring Social Security. Any strategies that we could use a reverse mortgage in conjunction with deferring Social Security?
Yes. Don, do you want to address that one, or I'm happy to?
Well, we can do both.
Okay.
That certainly, I heard someone said, Don, it's not, the word we want to use is Social Security optimization, which is deferring from 62 to 66, 68, or 70 will be the job of your advisor to come up with. Our job in the reverse mortgage sphere is to say, well, what if the person needed that money at age 62? Then the reverse mortgage becomes a tool to say, we draw from the reverse mortgage in the years that the Social Security is being deferred to optimize it. It protects the housing equity, and it gives a greater benefit to the client. Shelley, you can add to that.
Yeah, well, it's just, there's more time in the market, and it takes away that early sequence of returns risk if you're able to, from age 62 to age 70, not draw on your portfolio. So again, it's just the weaving together of these assets and deciding what to pull from what, depending on what the circumstances are.
There's a tax aspect too. When you take an amount out of a reverse mortgage, there's no income taxes. If you took money, let's say you're deferring Social Security and you took your money out of a 401k plan, you'd be paying taxes on every dollar you took out.
Exactly. So for somebody in a 33% tax bracket, which many people in California would be for sure, every dollar that you take out of your housing wealth, because it is tax-free, is the equivalent of $1.50 that you didn't have to take out of your portfolio.
Okay. Any other strategic uses?
One of the things that surprised many advisors was the reverse mortgage line of credit has a built-in cost of living adjustment. And that was a real surprise to many advisors. And they say, Don, wait a minute. Are you saying that if my client takes out and sets up a reverse mortgage line of credit for $200,000, that's going to grow? And I said, yes, absolutely guaranteed to grow. Right now it's growing at around 4%. So that's $8,000 per year that it's growing, and additional borrowing, what's the word I want to use?
Borrowing power.
Yeah. That is their capacity. So now to say, you can set up at very little cost a reverse mortgage standby line of credit. It's not going to be canceled, frozen, or reduced. The accessibility to it is not based off of FICO credit scores, and the income guidelines would be no issue for this type of clientele. Mm-hmm. But the growth of the program, now you've got money that you can do all types of things with. Again, mitigate the risk in the portfolio. You can self-insure for long-term care. You can make gifts to children or grandchildren. You can take a vacation or somewhere exotic instead of drawing from the portfolio. It keeps the portfolio intact while setting up a low-cost reverse mortgage line of credit. And that's been the real surprise. We had one advisor say to us, well, Don, if this is true, why wouldn't I encourage all of my clients to do this? And our response is always the same. We're not saying it's the conclusion. We're saying it should be part of the conversation.
Right, and what you're saying is many people should at least consider taking out a standby reverse mortgage line of credit. It should be in the conversation with their advisor because it's going to grow over time. It gives you the opportunity to borrow more later if you need it.
Absolutely.
Despite what the underlying asset is doing. So it's a contractual obligation of the lender to make more money available from month to month based on whatever formula is in place when they originate the loan.
Oh, so that it's right in the contract, in
Right.
the agreement.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
It's going
And
to increase
so-
by 3% or
yeah,
4%?
Exactly. And insured by HUD, required by HUD FHA. And so if housing, it's a hedge against housing value, it's dropping as well. It's something that was another surprise to
Yeah,
planners.
that is a surprise. So even if your house value doesn't go up, the amount you can borrow can go up
And there's a
with inflation.
crossover point, and so then you would decide: do I take the money from my growing line of credit, reverse mortgage, or do I pass the house on to the kids, whichever is better?
Mm-hmm. That's great. Really good information. Now, how about if financial advisors aren't all that familiar with how to go about helping their clients get a reverse mortgage. Give us some resources.
David, I think it depends on the goal of the advisor themselves. There are three ways an advisor could go about this. Number one, television. They could see whomever the star of the day is and say to their client, I'll just call that 800 number.
Right.
Number two, they could do some local research and say, well, I know a guy who knew a person and had a friend that I think does this, and they could find someone local. And that works. There's nothing wrong with that. If their goal is to, for us, the reverse mortgage is not so much a product, and I hope that's come across here, as much as it is a resource, a process, a tool that's helping the advisor strategically advise their client. And there are 5 ways to take it, 23 different products to choose from. And if your goal is to say, I want to maintain a relationship with my client, and I want to make sure that the consultant understands the financial planning principles and practices in retirement income distribution, then there's a resource for that. They can go to our website, HECMadvisorsGroup.com, and we'll play matchmaker. That is, if someone's in Albuquerque or Atlanta, we're going to make sure that that person understands the strategic ways that a reverse mortgage can be put into place. Shelley has worked very hard on doing that, and so everyone doesn't know that. And so what we do is we say, if you want us to do this, we're happy to match you with folk that will be an extension of your practice and to be able to help you maintain the relationship and advise your client in the best way possible. So they can find that resource by contacting or just going to HECMadvisorsGroup.com.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching the Wealth Channel.